We live. All right. Good morning, everybody. Welcome. It's fantastic to have Kobus here. I see we've got quite a few people online already, so we are expecting quite a few more to join us. So thank you for joining us. The real purpose behind this is for us as a business, well, as suppliers, to really get value when it comes to engaging with schools and government. So we are doing these webinars with that purpose in mind. So School Advisor, our aim is to really help you as a business engage with schools. And one of the biggest buyers within that is obviously the DBE or the provincial departments, which we're going to find about more now with Kobus. So we hope if you have any questions, while you're looking at your screen, you'll see on the right, there's an area where you can pop questions. So if you have any questions, pop. Our aim is to take about 20 minutes. We don't want to waste your time. And also you are welcome to afterwards download and watch the video. So I think Kobus, with that background done, welcome. It's absolutely fantastic kind of to have you here. I know personally from having connected with you, you've had a lot of experience with the industry and with government. And so we're looking forward to hearing from you. So the first question, if you could just give us a little bit of a brief overview about yourself, your experience, just so our listeners can get an idea of who you are.
Yeah, well, thanks very much for inviting me. It's always nice to speak to people in education. I'm semi-retired at the moment. I was just thinking this morning when I drove in from Cape Town to Stellenbosch, what a pleasure not to brave the traffic. No more early morning flights, just can take it easy.
We bought the meeting in at 10, just or 10:30, so you didn't have to brave Stellenbosch
I appreciate
traffic.
that, yeah. So I have a fair amount of experience in dealing with schools. I've been within the department for more than a decade on the buying side. And then after that, I've worked for industry on the selling side. And I can assure you I've got the battle scars to prove for both of them. So,
experience.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. So thank you. Maybe if we could actually just firstly take a step back. Why would a supplier actually want to sell to government?
Well, when the supplier sells to a school or to schools, it's labor intensive.
Yes, very.
Yeah. And I think that is where School Advisor comes in so handy, why people belong to School Advisor, for the assistance they get for the marketing and to get through all the red tape to sell to schools. But you have to go from school to school to school. So the obvious advantage to working with the government is that you can get a whole lot of schools in one smack.
Yes. Okay. So, and maybe I think one of the things that a lot of the suppliers battle with is there's DBE, the Department of Basic Education, then there's provincial departments. So Western Cape Education Department, Gauteng. What are the differences? How does it work? Who do you actually sell to as a school supplier?
Well, the DBE is a policy setting organism. They determine curriculum, what must be taught in the schools. They decide procurement policies, and they just set policy in general, and then they feed that through to the provinces. The provinces will execute what needs to be done. They're the operational arms of government. So when you want to sell, it is rather fruitless to approach the DBE.
Okay.
Because they won't buy from you. They may give you advice as far as policy is concerned, but it's also very difficult to get hold of the right officials in the DBE. So if you want to sell to government, to schools, in government, the best would be to approach the different provincial departments.
Yeah. Okay, so you go into provincial department. How do you approach the provincial department? Do you wait for a tender? Do you actually go knock on their door? How do you do it?
Oh, it's with great difficulty. Yeah. You can wait for tenders, and that is what many people do. But I would think that the best thing to do is, first of all, determine whether the product or the service that you have will really be suitable for education. Is that something that schools really need? Is it
Okay.
that they want?
Should you test that with the school before, or how do you determine that?
Well, speak to the right officials.
Okay.
You go into the education department, you find out what is the product that I want to sell. Now, in my experience, is mainly with IT stuff. So you will go to the curriculum people. So I've got a piece of content here that's wonderful. So test it out with the right curriculum people. Let's say it's a maths program. So I'll go to the maths advisors,
Yes.
the curriculum advisors, and say, look, then I've got this piece of software. How will it fit in what you do within the schools? And if there's a measure of interest, then pursue it with them. Say, is that something that you would like to maybe put out on a tender?
Okay. All right. So you're talking about lots of different departments, different areas within
Yes.
the provincial departments. Who are the actual players you should speak to? Do you know, you just pick up the phone and call and hope for the best? What are the kind of people you should be speaking to within the provincial departments?
Well, I think that is quite often the most difficult part, is to get the right people involved. If you have a friendly school that you've been dealing with, then maybe the school will be able to advise you that within their district who the appropriate people would be. So that may be an avenue. It all depends what you want to sell.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'm guessing edutech products versus stationery is going to be very different to fences and buildings.
Exactly, yeah. So you have to find out which department is dealing with that, and then speak to those people. One mistake that people often make is to approach the politicians.
Okay.
Everybody wants to have an interview with the MEC with a thought in their minds that if I can get the MEC on my side, then they will buy.
Okay.
And this is not very successful. In the first instance, politicians have a very short shelf life.
Yes.
They're here today, tomorrow they're gone.
Yes.
Secondly, they do not have a budget. They can maybe influence the officials, but
Right.
it's best to go to the officials themselves within the departments. Okay. Then another thing that you need to do, you asked about tenders just now.
Yes.
Of course, when tenders come out, that is the way in which companies do business with government. They will not just go and buy from you. You have to work through a tender process.
Yes.
In most provinces, there's a pre-tender process.
Okay.
So for you to be able to tender, you have to be registered on their database. They want to make sure that you've paid your taxes, that you are a legitimate company. And there's different things that they look at. So that is a process that you must go through.
And is that that database, is that specific to the provincial education departments, or is it like the Western Cape government database?
That's normally with the government, with the whole province. Okay. So if you're interested in selling to a province, then find out from their procurement division. You go to the education department, they've got a procurement division, they will guide you. Okay. They will give you the forms, they will tell you what to do, and get that out of the way. Because often when a tender is issued, it's got say a 3 or 4 week window in which you can apply. And that period is often not enough for you to register and to get everything done and submit your tender. So if you're interested in that, just do it. In most cases, it doesn't cost you anything. Okay. It's a lot of schlep and effort, but do it. Okay. And then it's done.
And is that as simple as Googling or phoning the education department? That's right, and saying, yes. How do I register?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
They'll help.
And they'll help you. Yeah, they'll normally on their website, the forms are there. They'll guide you, and you fill it in, and you get that out of the way. They ask for certain documentation, okay. You provide that, and then you're on the database. So then when the tender is issued, then at least you've done that, and now you can complete the tender.
Okay. And then when it comes to tenders, the $1 million question, BEE, does it play a role? How big a role? How will it affect you? Your views on this?
It does play a role, and in different provinces it differs. When the tender is awarded, there's normally a point system. They give points for everything, for pricing and for company profile and BEE and so on. So BEE may be, say, count for 10% of the points or 5%. It differs from province to province.
Okay. So it's achievable if you don't have the correct PE status. You can still have a chance to tender and have a chance of actually getting the business.
You still have a chance. In some cases, for some tenders, they'll say BE is mandatory.
Okay.
But in most cases, you still have a chance. But of course, then your pricing must be very good, and then you must be very good in all the other aspects.
Okay. I know one thing we were chatting previously just on pricing. You mentioned one of the biggest things you've seen where suppliers have tripped up is they've cut in their costs to the bone, and then pricing for product, etc., from overseas has changed, and there's a delay in timing. Could you unpack that a little bit, just how to be wise with pricing?
Yes, especially with exchange rate fluctuations, that has caught many with their pants down. Yeah.
Okay.
So just make sure that when you tender, that is written in the tender. There normally is provision for that.
Okay.
And government is quite good. They understand that.
Yes.
So just make sure that it's all specified beforehand. And while we're on that topic, when you complete the tender form, just be very careful that you complete every section correctly.
Okay.
You know, with all respect to the government officials, when they look at the tenders, when they get all the submissions, they don't look for reasons why they should give you the tender. They look for reasons why they should throw it out.
Okay.
Yeah, because there may be 100 people, and they have to plow through that. So they look through that list, and if they find something that's not correct, they say, "Oh, it's good.
Cancel.
That's right." So just make sure everything is written correctly. But then on the other hand, the procurement divisions are normally very good in assisting you. So if there's a question that you don't know how to answer, or you don't know how to answer correctly, ask them.
Okay.
There's normally a meeting, a pre-tender meeting.
Okay.
In many cases, that the attendance is mandatory. So make sure that you attend that meeting. And at that meeting, you will have the tender forms, and then is the opportunity to ask the questions. How do I answer this question? How do I fill in this part? What if I don't?
Yes.
All the ifs and the whats, you can ask them.
Okay. And Kobus, just on that, salespeople and businesses, we always love to know a time frame. Any idea, say you are pre-registered on the correct databases, what is a realistic time frame to submit to get approval? Is it weeks, months, years? Does it vary? Any guidelines that can help the viewers?
Well, it varies. The more complicated the tender is, the more comprehensive it is, normally the longer it takes.
Okay.
So it's very difficult. It can take a month in some cases. You know, if it's towards the end of the financial cycle of government, which ends at March,
okay,
then it's normally fairly short.
Okay.
Because there's pressure on them to spend their money.
So it's a good time to hit them in like Jan, Feb.
Yeah, and there's normally quite a lot of tenders coming out from January onwards. You know? Okay. So then the time frame is a bit shorter. In other cases, it could take months. So it really depends on the nature of the tender.
Okay. Well, it's a good tip, I think. From dealing with schools directly, you're always trying to get them around that July, August, September, so you're in their budgets for October. Yeah. So it's good to know for government, you want to kind of make sure that they're aware of you in Jan and Feb.
Yeah.
And I think then a question that ties in with that, Kobus, is I think people always get nervous, will I get paid? You know, I do this for government. Yeah. What is your experience? Do they pay? Do they pay on time?
Well, that is one of the positive things about government, that they usually pay on time, and they definitely will pay you. There have been a few cases of Provincial Departments of Education that went under administration. You know, it happened in Limpopo, it happened in the Eastern Cape, and then there's delays. But that's the exception. In most cases, once the tender has been awarded and you have delivered and you've got proof that everything has been delivered, then they will pay. What sometimes happens is that a part of the delivery process has not been completed. Like they may say, you have to deliver to 50 schools and you have to have training sessions. Now, there may be some logistical challenges why the training can't happen, and you want your money. But they say, no, you must first complete the training and then we'll pay you. So just make sure that you've done everything that you've committed, and then they will pay you. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's good news. It's always nice when you're going to be paid. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, you are welcome to pop them on the screen. There's a little tab on the right where you can ask questions, so feel free to put those in. But Kobus, maybe quite a practical question before we talk a little bit more about ADESSA. To help the viewers to make this really practical, say you have a product, product X, and you think it's going to be incredibly valuable for government. You've tested it in a school, they love it. What do you do? So if you can just run through the steps from get onto the right databases, who do you call? If you can just help us understand that practical process.
Okay, on the practical side, as you mentioned, get onto the database, at least you are registered, and now you are able to submit a tender. So that's the one route. The other thing is make sure, and I think I've mentioned that earlier, make sure that your product is something that will be required by the school. Now, maybe if I just tell you a little story that happened about 10, 12 years ago. There was a guy who developed a wonderful system to teach teachers how to use Microsoft products, Word, Excel, and so on. It was all electronic. It was a system that he built. And this guy, he used his life savings to build it. He even mortgaged his home for that. And then at that stage, I was in the buying seat. I was in government. So he came with the system and he says, I've got this wonderful system and it's good for the teachers. Do you need that? And I looked at it and says, well, surely our teachers, they need to learn how to use the Microsoft products, but this is not really our focus at the moment. Our focus is on helping teachers to use technology as a teaching mechanism and not use it as a productivity tool. And he says, no, but this product is really, really very good. And he believed it. And it was a good product. He says, can I please pilot it in a few of your schools? So I said, sure, you can pilot it. But I can tell you now that it's very unlikely that we will buy it from you. So he piloted it, and the teacher said, yeah, that was useful, but that's not really what we need. And so he said, you see, that's what we told you. I really felt for that guy. But he went about it completely the wrong way. Before he developed that product, he should have asked. Okay. So if you have a product, if you have a product already.
So if you don't have is it advisable if you're thinking of building something to actually go test it first with them?
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Find out what is the need of education. Okay. Because it's a matter of a willing buyer and an able seller. Yes. So make sure that you understand what the needs of education are. There are wonderful gadgets out there. There are wonderful tools out there. Many things, not only with EduTech, but in all these wonderful things. But is that really what education needs? Okay. Money is scarce. So they're only going to spend it on things that they really need.
Okay. So process, you got a product, you registered on the database. Who do you call? Who do you speak to? What's that?
Procurement division. Speak to the procurement division. Okay. Make sure they. And also another thing. Once you're on their database, then you will get the tenders. Okay. That's another advantage of that. You will be sure to get that. Okay. Once you get the tender, make sure you understand it. Make sure that you attend the mandatory meeting.
Yes. Okay.
To get more information. If you need more information, you can then go and speak to the specific department. And then just make sure that what you have to offer matches what they require.
Okay, that's brilliant. I think, Kobus, that really helps. I think for the school suppliers out there, step one is obviously get onto the database. It seems that's the starting point, because then at least you're aware of what's happening. So thank you so much for that. That helps. If I can ask you a question now, just more about yourself. You are the CEO of ADESSA. And I think this is very relevant to the topic we're talking about. What is ADESSA?
Well, ADESSA, the acronym is Associated Distributors of Education Supplies in Southern Africa.
Okay.
And our main focus is on suppliers of technology, either hardware or software, applications, content, training services, or other related services. So ADESSA is I would say, the official voice of the e-education industry in South Africa. You asked a couple of times, who do you approach? Who do you approach? And it is always a difficult question, and that is really the role of ADESSA. We have discussions with government, and we create opportunities for our members to speak to the right education officials and to have information sharing sessions. So that is really the role of ADESSA, to act as a bridge between the e-industry on the one hand and the government on the other hand.
Okay. And you mentioned that earlier you said pre the webinar, you said you've done some really good scoops in the sense that government is supporting you and giving you opportunities. Can you help the viewers kind of understand what some of those things are in the pipeline that are going to be coming from ADESSA?
Now, one of the things that the DBE asked us to do is to help them to develop a digital content strategy. Now, with e-books becoming available now and more schools using technology, it's necessary to set certain standards so that schools will know when they purchase something, what are the standards that a piece of software or content must adhere to. So they've asked ADESSA to be the convener of a body that will set those standards. So our members that are in that field, they will contribute information, and we're putting a document together that the government then will use in future. So it helps us to strengthen our relationship with the government, but conversely, it helps us to be a funnel for information to our members from government.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yes, yeah. No, that's brilliant. I think from supplier side, government, and this is why we've got you doing this interview, government can become a bit of this black hole. We don't know what to do. And I think that's what from our side really excites us. And I think that's also, just so people understand, School Advisor and ADESSA, we have a good working relationship. We know our focus is really helping the supplies get directly into the schools, where I think ADESSA has an amazing focus of being able to take products to governments, get awareness. So next question, which ties in with that, if the listeners are not yet members of ADESSA, how can they find out more if they would like to find out more about ADESSA?
Or they can go to our website, adessa.org.za. My email address is on there on the website. It's just ceo@adessa.org.za. They can contact me. They can look at the website. They can contact me, and we can take the conversation further.
Okay, brilliant. Kobus, thank you. That has been very, very beneficial. So thank you so much. I think the insight that you give into the space is amazing, and I think I'd really encourage people, if you're not yet a member of ADESSA, go check it out. I know that Kobus is always welcome of a telephone call, and he can give you a bit more detail about the organization. So please check it out. And then Kobus, thank you. Thank you for braving it out to Stellenbosch to come see us. We really, really appreciate your time and your input, and just those golden nuggets that you've given us when it comes to dealing with government. And then, so thank you. And then just from School Advisor side, we'd really like just to thank everyone for coming in and viewing. We hope that you got some value. Please give us some feedback afterwards. As discussed, our aim as School Advisor is really just to help you crack the school market. So thank you so much, Kobus. We appreciate your time.
No, thank you very much, and good luck with the Select government.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. Over and out.